Deneb sneered as he watched thousands of humans scream in agony, the burning hulk of their colony ship reflecting in his cold reptilian eyes. Little did that arrogant Orion know that his bloodthirsty actions had just sealed the fate of his entire species. Commander Lawrence Walker slammed his fist on the console as the urgent transmission from Jupiter Station played across the screen. The Orions, led by their ruthless despot Deneb, had launched an unprovoked attack on the defenseless Arcadia colony vessel, slaughtering everyone on board. Thousands of innocent men, women, and children mercilessly executed. As the highest-ranking officer within range, the burden fell on Lawrence to respond to this atrocity. But he knew his small patrol frigate, the HMS Retribution, stood little chance against the technologically advanced Orion warships. Intel reports scrolled past on Lawrence's datapad as he pored over the enemy specs. The lizard-like Orions had reverse-engineered stolen Andorian technology to outfit their ships with impenetrable energy shields and devastatingly powerful plasma cannons. For decades, they had carved a bloody swath across the sector, conquering and enslaving lesser species. Now they had set their sights on humanity. The HMS Retribution emerged from slipspace near Saturn's rings, the last known location of the Orion fleet. Long-range scans immediately showed they were outmatched and outnumbered. A massive dreadnought hung in space ahead of them, flanked by dozens of cruisers and destroyers, enough firepower to glass a planet. "This is Deneb of the Orion Supremacy," a harsh voice crackled over the comm. The reptilian commander appeared on the view screen, fixing Lawrence with a predatory glare. "The human infestation into our space ends now. This territory belongs to the Orion hegemony. You will submit to our rule or be exterminated." Lawrence tried to open a diplomatic channel, but Deneb cut the transmission. Half a heartbeat later, the Orion ships opened fire. The dreadnought's main cannon tore through the Retribution's armor like paper, slamming Lawrence to the floor. Conduits exploded in showers of sparks as the onslaught battered down their shields. Pulling himself up on the sparking railing, Lawrence knew they wouldn't survive another salvo. The Retribution was crippled, his crew on the verge of annihilation. He had to act now, or humanity's hope would die here with them. His fingers flew across the keypad, entering a code known only to a handful of people, a code that would change everything. The encoded transmission beamed out on a quantum frequency as the bridge disintegrated around him. For a moment, nothing happened. Then scanners lit up with a massive energy surge. A blinding flash erupted in space as an enormous wormhole tore open in front of the battered human ship. Deneb's eyes widened as an impossibly huge blast of searing light shot out from the rift, vaporizing the front rank of Orion destroyers. A gargantuan black silhouette emerged from the portal, bristling with city-sized cannons and continent-spanning armor plates. It was the XSS Nightfall. 10 miles of human fury, secretly constructed in a hidden subspace pocket after the first alien attacks. An Armageddon ship to answer any existential threat. And its weapons were locked on the Orion fleet. As the Nightfall's continent-cracking cannons began to glow with white-hot energy, Lawrence couldn't help but smile. If hostile aliens thought subjugating Earth would be easy, they were about to experience a very rude awakening. The XSS Nightfall's weapon systems hummed to life as it faced down the Orion fleet. Massive cannons emerged from armored ports along its hull, each one capable of unleashing destruction on an unimaginable scale. In an instant, the Stardestroyer opened fire, sending a storm of high-energy projectiles and directed plasma beams streaking towards the alien ships. The barrage slammed into the Orion fleet with cataclysmic force, tearing through their vaunted energy shields like they were made of paper. Explosions blossomed across the hulls of the alien destroyers and cruisers as the XSS Nightfall's weaponry found its mark, ripping open armored hulls and igniting reactor cores. The Orions returned fire desperately, unleashing a hail of plasma bolts and graviton pulses, but the attack splashed harmlessly against the Star Destroyer's reinforced armor plates. On the bridge of the XSS Nightfall, Lawrence watched the carnage unfold with steely focus. He had transferred command to the mighty vessel the moment it arrived, knowing that the Retribution was no longer the key to victory. This was their chance to show the Orions the folly of their aggression, to demonstrate that humanity would not be cowed by threats and violence. "All weapons, fire at will," Lawrence ordered, his voice steady despite the rage burning in his chest. "Send these bastards back to whatever hole they crawled out of." The crew of the XSS Nightfall responded with ruthless efficiency, bringing the ship's full might to bear against the Orion fleet. The alien vessels crumbled under the onslaught, reduced to drifting wrecks and expanding clouds of debris. It seemed that nothing could stand against the power of humanity's secret weapon. But even as the tide of battle turned in their favor, a new signal blinked to life on the communications console. Lawrence frowned as he recognized the priority code, a transmission from Earth relayed through the quantum entanglement network. He accepted the hail with a sense of foreboding. "Commander Walker, what the hell do you think you're doing?" The furious voice of Admiral Grayson, Lawrence's superior officer, filled the bridge. Lawrence drew himself up, meeting Grayson's holographic gaze unflinchingly. "Admiral, the Orions attacked and destroyed a civilian colony ship without provocation. Thousands of innocent lives were lost. I made the call to deploy the XSS Nightfall to prevent further aggression." Grayson's expression darkened. "The Nightfall is a classified project, Commander. Its existence was never meant to be revealed, let alone deployed without authorization from the highest levels of government." "With respect, sir, we couldn't just let the Orions get away with this atrocity," Lawrence argued, feeling his anger rising. "They need to understand that there will be consequences for attacking humanity." The Admiral shook his head. Engaging in an all-out war with the Orions could have catastrophic repercussions for Earth and every human colony. "We must pursue diplomacy, find a way to commitment this crisis without further bloodshed." Lawrence gritted his teeth, watching as another Orion ship vanished in a blaze of plasma on the display. Every instinct screamed at him to press the attack, to destroy the enemy fleet while they had the chance. But he knew that defying a direct order from Grayson would mean the end of his career, and possibly worse. "Very well, Admiral," he said, the words bitter on his tongue. "I'll stand down the attack, but I'm keeping the Nightfall on high alert. If the Orions so much as twitch in our direction, we'll be ready." Grayson nodded curtly. "See that you do, Commander. I'll be in touch with further instructions. Grayson out." As the transmission ended, Lawrence slumped back in his chair, frustration and anger warring within him. The battle still raged beyond the viewport, but the fire of the XSS Nightfall's guns had slackened as the crew followed his ceasefire order. A sudden hail from the Orion flagship caught Lawrence's attention. Deneb's image appeared on the display, the reptilian commander visibly shaken but still defiant. "I underestimated you, human," Deneb hissed, something like grudging respect in his voice. "I never imagined your species capable of building such a formidable warship. It seems we have both learned something today." Lawrence's eyes narrowed. "The only thing I've learned is that the Orions are even more treacherous than I thought. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't wipe out your entire fleet right now." Deneb flashed a predatory smile. "Because, Commander, neither of us wants this conflict to escalate further. I propose a meeting, a chance to discuss terms, and find a resolution that benefits both our peoples." Every instinct screamed at Lawrence that this was a trap, a ploy to lure him away from the XSS Nightfall and leave Earth vulnerable. But he also knew that Grayson was right. Diplomacy had to be given a chance, even with a foe as ruthless as the Orions. "I'll agree to your meeting, Deneb," Lawrence said, his tone flinty. "But if this is some kind of trick, I promise you'll regret it." The Orion commander inclined his head. "I would expect nothing less from a warrior of your caliber. I'm transmitting coordinates for the rendezvous now. I look forward to our discussion." As the transmission ended, Lawrence turned to his bridge crew. "Prep a shuttle and assemble a security detail. I don't trust this scaly bastard as far as I can throw him, but we have to play along for now. The rest of you, keep the Nightfall on high alert. If the Orions try anything, blow them out of the stars." The crew hurried to follow his orders as Lawrence strode towards the lift, his mind racing. He knew he was taking a huge risk by agreeing to this meeting, but if there was even a chance of preventing all-out war with the Orions, He had to take it. The fate of humanity hung in the balance. As the shuttle carrying Lawrence and his hand-picked team approached the coordinates Deneb had provided, the sensors suddenly blared a warning. A cloaked Orion ship flickered into view, weapons hot and aimed directly at the small human craft. "It's a trap!" Lawrence shouted, wrenching the shuttle into evasive maneuvers as a barrage of plasma fire scorched past the hull. "Get a distress signal to the Nightfall now." The pilot frantically worked the controls, trying to evade the ambush ship's relentless attacks. Lawrence knew they wouldn't last long against the Orion vessel's superior firepower. Their only hope was to get back to the XSS Nightfall. But even as the Stardestroyer moved to intercept, a new crisis emerged. A second Orion fleet dropped out of hyperspace, blocking the Nightfall's path and engaging the human ship with a fusillade of heavy weapons fire. Lawrence's heart sank as he realized the true nature of the Orion's plan. "This whole thing was a diversion," he said, dread mounting in his chest. "They wanted to lure the Nightfall away from Earth, leave it vulnerable to attack." A frantic transmission from the Nightfall's sensor officer confirmed his worst fears. "Commander, long-range scans have detected a massive Orion invasion force moving in on Earth. They must have been waiting just outside the system for the Nightfall to be drawn away." Lawrence thumped his hand against the bulkhead, rage and desperation surging through him. Cut off from help, outgunned and outnumbered, he and his small crew were the only thing standing between the Orions and the complete subjugation of humanity. As the shuttle shuddered under another blast from the ambush ship, Lawrence knew he had to find a way to warn Earth and stop the invasion, despite the toll. The very future of his species depended on it. Lawrence smacked his fist on the comms panel. "Nightfall, this is Commander Walker. We're under heavy fire from an Orion ambush ship. Request immediate assistance." The face of Commander Harding flickered onto the screen, his expression grim. "Negative, Walker. We've got our hands full with a massive Orion fleet that just dropped out of hyperspace. Can't spare any ships to assist." Lawrence's stomach dropped. He scanned the tactical display, mind racing. "Copy that, Nightfall. We'll find another way." He turned to his pilot. "Jenkins, give me everything you've got. We need to slip through that combat zone and warn Earth." Jenkins nodded, hands dancing across the controls. The shuttle lurched sideways as plasma fire from the pursuing Orion ship seared past. "All hands, battle stations!" Lawrence barked. "Arm every weapon we've got. We're not going down without a fight." The shuttle zigzagged through a field of debris, narrowly avoiding collisions as Jenkins pushed the craft to its limits. Lawrence gripped his chair as another volley of Orion fire rocked the ship. "Sir, we've got a clear shot at their port weapons array," the tactical officer shouted. "Take it!" The shuttle's guns blazed to life, peppering the Orion ship with a barrage of fire. A satisfying explosion bloomed across the enemy vessel's hull. Their victory was short-lived. 3 more Orion ships materialized from Cloak, boxing them in from all sides. Lawrence's mind raced. They couldn't outrun or outgun this many ships. There was only one option left, no matter how insane. "Jenkins, plot a collision course with the lead Orion ship," he ordered. "Sir?" Jenkins' voice wavered. "You heard me. Full speed ahead." The shuttle rocketed towards the massive Orion vessel, weapons firing wildly. Lawrence's crew braced for impact, faces set with unyielding commitment. "Now, Jenkins!" At the last possible second, Jenkins yanked the controls. The shuttle flipped end over end in a gut-wrenching 180-degree pivot. Lawrence's fingers flew across his console, initiating the warp core breach sequence. A blinding flash erupted behind them as the warp core detonated. The shockwaves slammed into the Orion ship's weakened shields, ripping them apart. The shuttle shot past, riding the edge of the explosion. Alarms blared as systems failed across the board. "We've lost impulse engines," Jenkins reported. "Emergency power only." Lawrence scanned the sector map. "There's a Federation outpost within range. Get us there, now." The battered shuttle limped towards the space station, slipping past the edges of the raging battle between the Nightfall and the Orion Armada. As they docked, klaxons echoed through the station. A voice rang out over the intercoms. Alert! Long-range sensors detect massive Orion fleet on approach to Earth. Lawrence sprinted for the command center, shouldering past panicked crew members. He burst onto the bridge, zeroing in on the communications array. This is Commander Lawrence Walker, he broadcast on all channels. Earth is facing imminent invasion by Orion forces. All available ships, set course for Earth immediately. We need to buy time for civilian evacuations. He watched in horror as the first wave of Orion ships dropped out of hyperspace around Earth. A priority transmission cut through the chaos. Deneb's reptilian face filled the screen. Well played, Commander, the Orion sneered. But your secret weapon is occupied, and Earth's defenses are pathetically unprepared. Your homeworld will fall, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. The transmission cut off. Lawrence gripped the edge of the console, mind racing. With the Nightfall pinned down, Earth's only defense was its woefully outmatched patrol fleet. He opened a channel to Starfleet Command. This is Commander Walker. I'm taking command of Earth's defense forces. We need to hold the line until the Nightfall can break free. As acknowledgments flooded in, Lawrence stared at the tactical display. Somehow, they had to find a way to delay the Orions. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and time was running out. The space around Earth erupted in chaos as the Orion invasion force dropped out of hyperspace. Lawrence's heart sank as he watched the massive alien armada materialize on the tactical displays. All ships, battle stations, form up and prepare to engage, Lawrence barked into the comms. He knew Earth's conventional fleet was hopelessly outmatched, but they had to buy time. The first volley from the Orion ships tore through Earth's orbital defense platform smoothly. Lawrence gritted his teeth as he watched the destruction unfold. Sir, incoming transmission from the Orion flagship, his communications officer reported. Deneb's reptilian face filled the screen, mandibles clicking in what passed for an Orion smile. Ah, Commander Walker, how does it feel to watch your world's pitiful defenses crumble? We're not done yet, you scaly bastard, Lawrence shot back. Humanity won't go down without a fight. Admirable but futile, Deneb sneered. Even if your precious Nightfall breaks free, it will arrive far too late to save you. Lawrence cut the transmission, focusing on the battle. Earth ships engaged the Orion fleet, but were picked off one by one. Debris rained down, burning up in the atmosphere. We need to take out that dreadnought, Lawrence said, an insane plan forming. All remaining ships, set collision course for the Orion flagship. We're going to ram the bastards. A chorus of acknowledgments rang out as Earth's last defenders steeled themselves for a suicide run. Missiles streaked ahead of the human ships as they barreled toward the massive dreadnought. For a moment, hope flared as the Orion flagship's shields flickered under the barrage. But then a shimmering prismatic barrier sprang to life, effortlessly absorbing the impacts. No! Lawrence smacked his head on the console as Earth's fleet disintegrated against the impenetrable shield. A violent explosion rocked the command center. Lawrence was thrown to the floor as debris rained down. Strong hands dragged him from the wreckage. Dazed and bleeding, Lawrence staggered to his feet. Through the shattered viewports, he watched Orion dropships descending toward Earth cities. Get me to the planetary defense control room, he ordered, limping forward. Lawrence's fingers flew across the console as he activated Earth's last line of defense. The sky lit up as mass drivers and missile silos unleashed their payloads. But even this awesome display of firepower proved useless against the Orion shields. Lawrence watched in despair as the invasion force pushed ever closer to the surface. A priority alert flashed on his screen. The Nightfall had broken free and was en route, but they needed time to recharge for an attack run. All ground forces, this is Commander Walker, Lawrence broadcast. The Nightfall is inbound, but we have to hold the line. Delay the Orions at all costs. He knew it was an audacious attempt. Earth's remaining defenses were wildly outclassed by Orion technology. But humanity had to resist long enough for the Nightfall to arrive. Lawrence limped toward the exit, determined to join the ground battle himself. The fate of Earth hung by a thread, but he refused to give up hope. The nightfall was coming, if they could just hold out a little longer. Lawrence's eyes strained against the horizon, searching for any sign of the XSS Nightfall. The ground trembled beneath his feet as Orion bombardment rained down. Suddenly, a blinding flash seared across the sky. The massive silhouette of the Stardestroyer blotted out the sun as it tore out of hyperspace. "There she is!" Lawrence shouted, his voice raw with emotion. The Orion fleet instantly broke off their attack on Earth, swinging around to face this new threat. Deneb's flagship opened fire, its energy weapons splashing harmlessly against the Nightfall's impenetrable shields. Lawrence watched in awe as the Star Destroyer unleashed a barrage of plasma lances. They sliced through space, carving deep gashes in the Orion dreadnought's hull. Fires erupted along its length as it listed to one side. "Now's our chance," Lawrence barked into his comm. "All remaining missile silos, target the Orion flagship." Earth's last missiles streaked skyward, punching through the dreadnought's weakened shields. Explosions blossomed across its surface as it began to break apart. A priority alert flashed on Lawrence's tactical display. His blood ran cold as he realized what was happening. "No! Deneb, you bastard!" The Orion ship's antimatter containment fields flared with building energy. It was on a collision course with Earth. A blinding flash erupted in the upper atmosphere. The shock wave expanded outward at terrifying speed, incinerating the remaining Orion ships. Then it swept across Earth's surface. Lawrence stared in mute horror as the blast front scoured everything in its path. Cities vanished in an instant. Military bases crumbled to ash. Countless lives snuffed out in a heartbeat. The air itself seemed to ignite. Choking clouds of radioactive debris blotted out the sun. Lawrence's last glimpse was of a world on fire before the command center's emergency seals slammed shut. Days passed in darkness. When Lawrence finally emerged onto the bridge of the Nightfall, Earth was unrecognizable. Half the planet was a smoldering wasteland. Vast swathes of scorched earth stretched as far as the eye could see. A junior officer approached, his face ashen. "Sir, preliminary casualty reports are coming in. It's over 7 billion dead." Lawrence gripped the console, his knuckles tightening. "And the survivors?" "Less than 1 billion, sir. Scattered in shielded enclaves, but without aid." Lawrence nodded grimly. He keyed the ship-wide communication system. "This is Commander Walker. Prepare to activate the Nightfall's atmospheric generators. It's the only way to give the survivors a chance." He watched as the massive Star Destroyer extended its environmental field, creating a bubble of breathable air over what remained of Earth's surface. But Lawrence knew it was only a temporary measure. With a heavy heart, he activated the subspace array. His voice echoed across the vast emptiness of space. To any spacefaring civilizations who can hear this message, this is Commander Lawrence Walker of Earth. Our world lies in ruins, our people on the brink of extinction. We seek not conquest or revenge, but survival. If there is mercy in this universe, we ask for your aid. Help us find a new home among the stars that humanity might endure. The message repeated endlessly into the void. Lawrence stared out at the ravaged Earth below, clinging to a fragile hope that someone, somewhere, would answer their desperate plea.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.